Hi everyone. So very interesting panelists, right from various industries as well as, different backgrounds. So looking forward to have a great conversation with all of you. So to set the context, in as diverse country as India, with different languages, with different kind of personas, different kind of, clientele, MarTech becomes a most important thing for brands to solve, right? Personalization becomes key. Earlier, it was not possible to deliver that kind of personalization, but now tech has made possible, and brands are aiming for that holy grail of 1:1 personalization, right? So it's a journey, and we'll try to understand from all these stalwarts where they are in the journey and, what is working for them and, what is it that they are trying to solve. So with that, I want to start off by asking all the panelists, what is your MarTech philosophy in one word and why? So can we start off with you, Puneeth?
Yeah, I think relevancy is a key word for me.
Yeah.
No, so for me, the word was essential, but then I'm tempted to use a strong word called indispensable.
Indispensable.
And I think, in this digital world, MarTech is becoming extremely essential and relevant. Without that, you are going to be far behind your competitor. And Himanshu, also, this MarTech is not only going to help a company grow, it's not just a good thing to have. It's actually something which is going to help a company grow, and more importantly, in difficult times, it will also help you to survive.
Perfect. Yeah, Ragini.
I'll tend to go with what Puneeth just said. I think relevance is super critical, right? And the reason I say that is there's an overload of information today, right? Consumers are scrolling through reams and reams of information that they actually don't care about. And if you don't turn up as the most relevant product in that horde of information that the consumer is seeing in every day, then it's just media money that is being wasted. The good thing is, like you just mentioned, with the technology and the capabilities that are being developed and the rate at which it is evolving, it's becoming more realistic to do that.
Yes.
Right? And I come from Himalaya, and at Himalaya, that's what our intent is. Relevance is, it's not just a buzzword, it's the way we evaluate everything that we do. I have about 8 to 9 categories that I handle, and believe me, the media strategies across every category is completely different, right? If I take an example, like serum is what an evolved consumer is looking for, versus a lot of consumers who want to know what is the latest in skincare, and they're following all of these beauty influencers to know what is happening, but they are also looking for authenticity in the way that you're present there. To, for example, oral care, where we said consumers are not looking for oral care and a toothpaste every day, and that's not top of mind for them. It's not like skincare. But we find moments like Gum Health Day to revive the importance of good oral health, right? So I feel relevance is becoming more and more important and also doable. And I think that's the most important philosophy that we try and follow every day with everything we do.
Yeah, Sarthak.
Yeah, for me, I think it's proprietary data. And the reason I say that is because practically when AI models and tools start taking over, all tasks in marketing for you, every information which is publicly available is then accessible, let's say $10, $20 per month to practically every company to deploy. And that day may come in say, the next 3 years, 4 years. So really the effort is going to be what kind of proprietary data that you have, which is not public knowledge. And that is going to be the way to create one of the two edges every business needs to build a moat.
Hello. As a head of an OTT platform, Dangal Play, one word for us would be personalization. As in this vast content ecosystem, I feel like showing the right content to right person at right time is the key to drive more engagement. Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, right, relevance, personalization, indispensable, all the right kind of things that we want to hear about MarTech. Now, moving on, we are in AI has become OpenAI, Gen AI has become buzzwords and actually making a huge impact in terms of how we look at our work, it has almost pressed a reset button for all of us in terms of how we look at our future, right? So as AI evolves, predictive analytics and things like these evolves, what are the things that excite you most about this, and what is it that worries you, and and this in context of performance marketing, Sarthak?
Yeah, I think when we can see that today, that Meta AI is kind of running performance for everyone, and it's trying to get you the highest ROI. There are AI tools which are actually optimizing your marketing collateral and designed collateral for you. And right now, the businesses that are winning are those who are using these tools, but as more and more of these tools kind of get integrated into our computer systems, into our workflows, not driven by whether you as a user wants to use it, but because the company at the top has decided to implement it, and through like a Google that you already use, or a Microsoft that you already use, when it just comes into your workplace. I think what's going to be important, as I mentioned, is the first party data that you have, which is going to actually create an edge. And I think a second factor, in addition to the data, is when everyone uses AI, what becomes all the more relevant is taste of the person who's using it. Because there was one person sitting somewhere who realized that ChatGPT cannot replicate my face in the images that it generates. But what if I were to put in a prompt to say, Studio Ghiblify it? And just the fact that someone understands what Studio Ghibli is and put it into an AI use case, and it blows up. That insight comes from a more breadth of knowledge and taste which has to be developed, because efficiency beyond a point will only be driven by proprietary data, and creativity and edge will come from taste.
Yeah. So I want to bring in a bit of an enterprise perspective. So Puneeth, you are in a regulated industry where, how the data is used, where it is stored, all of that is kind of, defined by a lot of laws and all of that. So how are you looking at AI as an opportunity, or if you can give us some examples of things that you are doing in the background?
In fact, me and my team we have been having the most exciting time right now on exploring AI, like from deep research to understanding. Today you can have the entire marketing strategy built on a certain product with a suite of tools that are available right now, right? From understanding the pain points of the consumer to understanding the gaps in the market, strengths of the competitor, where are you fitting in, potential of the market, and hence what your messaging should be toward the campaign also. Now that's only the first part of the funnel. Yeah. You have the entire funnel that we can optimize using AI tools. Now for us, because the category is such that, and it's also an important category also from a consumer standpoint, is because at the end of the day it's about money. It's about your hard-earned money, right? And the industry and investment has become such a a dinner table conversation today, that everyone seems to be an expert in giving advice, right? For us, where we stand is, because of our 25 years of expertise, we have a whole institutional setup of research analysts sitting behind the screens, right? And what we've done is that we basically build our entire proposition on the base that we have research team who will do the hard work for you. Yeah. Now the decision of investment or not is completely up to you. Now, how do you scale research? Yeah. So this is just one of the many examples. What we've done is we have done a digital avatar of all our research analysts. Wow. So instead of if a research analyst has a specific insight, say at 9:30 a.m. on a particular market or particular week, for us to get him to a studio, get him hair and makeup and everything else, and get the shoot done, Today, all I have to do is just, he has to do is just give me the script. I'll change the script to make it a little more tonality and conversational. I give it back to him, he signs it off. Within half an hour, your video is ready. Amazing. So it's a dispensation of, like Sarthak mentioned, a proprietary information or tool which can be scaled using AI.
Fantastic. Anyone else wants to speak on this? What worries you? No one has mentioned about the worries that AI brings to us. So if anyone wants to...
Let me add on both the good and the bad, right? Because in FMCG marketing, thankfully, less regulated and a lot of exciting place that we are in with AI. The most exciting part is that AI is helping us reduce the distance between an insight and an action. Right? By the time you'll have a consumer insight, it would take a long time for you to verify it with more consumers. Then you say, okay, you do a few tests on it, concept tests, getting into a communication test, getting into then putting it out there. Now AI is bringing a lot of efficiency all through this journey. The best part is, of course, creative optimization, right? Everybody's become a creative person today, thanks to the level to which AI is doing. But we've also started using it. While not the creative that we're showing to the consumers, but this entire journey gets really shortened. Because you're able to turn around output that you can test very quickly, learn whether it's working or not, redo it, and get back into a new form of testing and a new set of creatives with the consumer. So creative optimization is really getting very interesting today. The other is also the media part of it, right? So AI is predictive, and if we get to a place where we can predict what media channels will help with what objective, it will help in reducing a lot of the media wastage that you do today, right? Because you put it out there, then you figure out whether it's working or not with a certain consumer cohort, a certain region, a certain channel, and then you go back and say, okay, I need to cut this down. We can do it earlier. But I think the two biggest issues I fear is, first is AI is as good as the data that feeds into it, right? And at least as of now, that data is not pristine. It can go to an extent where you're actually not reading the data well and actually doing unethical marketing. And I think that's the biggest fear till there is good level of clarity on how well that data is fed. And if you have your own data, something that Sarthak mentioned, which can actually say whether it matches to what you have internally and does it make sense, because there's so much hallucination today with the AI tools. The second for brands like ours is we often wonder what will be left of the brand if everybody just uses the same technology and produces the same output with a similar kind of font, prompt, right? So I think keeping the soul of the brand intact, starting with what does my brand stand for with the consumer, and then making sure that you are not dehumanizing the brand, but leveraging AI to add on to your brand personality is going to be quite complex, and a place where I think we all need to be very careful on how to tread into the world of AI.
Himanshu, I would like to add,
Sure.
so I like the word both Puneeth and Sarthak used, proprietary. So the third challenge is that, let's say back in my company, we use a lot of proprietary technology, a lot of proprietary information. So when you are using AI, which is like open source, what happens that a lot of proprietary information goes to the open source. And that is the reason why we have to be careful about how you are using the AI. So what we are doing back in Aditya Birla Group is that we are using our own LLM. So we have like a digital clean room where we are using LLM and making sure that the charm of AI is taken care, but in the process, our proprietary data is within us.
So that poises us very well for the next question. So one of the key things in MarTech is building your stack, right? It starts with building your stack, then there is adoption challenges within the organization. You have to define your trade-offs, what do you want to do? So, let us help the audience understand that how do you approach building your MarTech ecosystem, right? So Suman, just extending your thought process of, how you manage your proprietary. Do you want to extend on, how do you go about building your MarTech ecosystem, especially bringing in the B2B context?
So for the B2B context, see, I will tell you, these days we are talking about a lot of data, decision based out of data. We have lot of technology. And technology is actually, at the end of the day, is giving us data. And then, of course, there's an AI of helping us making decisions. So the best decisions you can take when data meets human intelligence, or human technology, which is the brain. Okay. That being said, if you talk about, let's say, market ecosystem, CRM is a very, very critical tool. But more importantly, more relevant is I look at my business, which is like the CDP, Customer Data Platform. A platform where, you know what, and I'm from the B2B business, unlike B2C, where generally you work with one mind and one heart. In B2B, where the customers are big, decision making are time consuming, and you end up working with many brains and many minds. There, the CDP helps a lot. So you create these CDPs and then get data about your customer. And there are nice platforms, technology platforms, where we talk about IoT. We have something called IOB, Internet of Behaviors. So what you can do is, there are technology where you can, also study the behaviors of different decision makers of your customers, process those data, and then you can take some very nice optimum decision.
Yeah, so, Akshat, if you want to share, how do you decide what to build, what to buy, running an OTT platform, if you can give some insights into how do you look at your MarTech stack?
So for us, we don't have a huge MarTech stack. We just use like MoEngage for our notifications. And then we rely a lot on YouTube Studio, because recently, last week, Dangal TV YouTube channel hit 50 million subscribers. And the amount of data we get on our YouTube Studio is like amazing. Like from real-time user feedback, user comments, to like watch time and where the user is dropping off, which character, when some character enters, it spikes or declines. So for us, like YouTube Studio has been a great MarTech platform to drive data and make decisions.
Puneeth, do you want to bring in, so HDFC as a conglomerate has multiple financial services, this thing, right? So at a group level, how do you look at, because leveraging data, as a group?
So the thing is, it's as per compliance, we're not supposed to share data amongst companies. So that doesn't happen. But having said that, there is a point, for example, if there are certain set of cohorts in a company where we feel that this is something can be our audience. So we reach out, like any other third-party vendor, you reach out to their audience, is how we reach out to within the group companies too. So within the companies, we're not allowed to share data as per compliance and even banking regulations for that matter.
Ragini, do you want to talk about your MarTech stack? How do you go about building it?
So we follow a very simple principle, right? Anywhere where it is about consumer data privacy, or anywhere where it's important for the brand, that it comes from the brand philosophy or the ethos, we either build it or we customize it. But for getting to the consumer faster, wherever we are talking about efficiency, content quality, types of content that you want to create, if you talk about how do you optimize media, how do you do CRM, these are all ways in which there is so much good technology available that we go after really good technology that can help us get there in the most agile form. So there we don't think about building it on our own, because honestly I don't think any company, other than really the big, probably some global giants, have the scale to be able to build that level of sophistication in managing data, where it helps you get into an efficiency level. So there's so many good data stacks available for efficiency. As long as you're not compromising privacy, and as long as you're not compromising consumer privacy or company privacy, which is the consumer data, we're more than happy to go ahead and borrow that. And we've done a lot of that. One of the most recent ones where we are using a lot of AI and external tools is finding new trends, right? So hearing the conversations that is going on in the world gives you an understanding of where is the consumer intent moving towards. And nowadays, with so many brands coming on board into beauty and personal care, it's a lot about understanding where the consumer journey is going to be versus just where it is. And there we are using an AI-enabled tech tool that helps us understand what is the future trends, whether it's on ingredients or it's on benefit spaces, etc. And then we use that insight, we use insights that is coming from our e-commerce, quick commerce platforms on which are the new categories which are evolving, what are the new search keywords that the consumers are finding. And then we use all of this external data to be able to define what is our innovation strategy for the next 2 to 3 years.
Great. So Sarthak, someone from investment banking background and, also helping brands with their content and, you being an influencer yourself. So how do you look at your MarTech stack? And when you work with a brand, how much important is it of, what signals do you look for that they are ready for scale?
Great question. And I'll tell you why, because I think when you look at a beautiful statue, I mean, would you be concerned about whether the person built it by hand or whether they 3D printed it? And the reason I say that is, what that's going to determine is what is the price, how well is it scalable. But at the very first level, if someone's been able to come up with a concept that's beautiful, I would first want to give credit to the sculptor. And I think in this discussion of MarTech platforms, what's really happening is, I think we may end up giving a lot more importance to the tools than the person who's figuring out novel and the right ways to use it to create impact. So when we actually decide on working with certain companies to help them raise capital in our investment banking practice, the idea really is that do they have consumer insight which cannot be found anywhere else? Like even if I search deep research on Google Gemini or on Perplexity, I will not find that insight. And that thing actually comes from really working with, atoms more than bits, which is in the real world. So I think what we would really like to optimize for is where is the real consumer insight? And if you have it, putting in a tech stack is fairly easy. You may be a little late to figuring out what is the best tech stack. Because when we were talking about, even in content, as Akshat mentioned, YouTube Studio is just so phenomenal that even if a new tool comes out which says, I will give you more data, I would think through APIs and everything, just the insight you would get, so much would get lost in translation going from one platform to the other, that there the tool would not be important. Similarly, not too many people know, but Instagram came out with its edits app, right? And people would think, okay, we don't use this, we edit it on say an Adobe tool or a Photoshop tool or some other video editing software. But there is a very important tab in the edits app which is on insights and data, and it gives you a lot more performance metrics compared to what you would find inside of the Instagram app itself. And there are certain things that we have figured out for our audience. For example, when you say something like an Adani, Tata, or say 1 crore within the first 3 seconds of your video, it's going to work. But when you look for this insight on Google, you won't find it. Or the fact that if you can optimize for 4% being the shares to the impression ratio on a short form video, it will just go viral. Now, when you search it online, you won't find it. And I think it's having access to that insight is what we really go for, rather than what tool are you using to come to that insight.
Amazing. So Akshat, in terms of the MarTech, like personalization being key driving factor, if you can help me, you just mentioned that you reach 50 million subscribers. So if you want to share a bit more about your win and your journey of reaching 50 million.
Sure, like is through AI, or through general,
How did you?
We started up page, so on YouTube we started our page in 2017, and since then on YouTube growing page is about uploading constantly, right? It's about consistency. And then YouTube also introduced like lot of like new AI-driven features like thumbnail selection, right? So for each video, I can make 3 or 4 new thumbnails, and every person will see a thumbnail according to their preferences, and YouTube knows what's their preference exactly. So features like this, and then we started dubbing our content in multiple languages through AI, and it really helped us like at scale. We have like over 2,000 episodes of Crime Alert, and it's being dubbed in like 4 different languages. So if you do this work manually, it'll take like forever. Through AI, it was just done in like a week, and new episodes are done within like minutes. Dubbing is done within minutes in 3 to 4 new languages. So all these new features of AI and everything has really helped us to grow. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of, your recent win using in MarTech, if you want to share some things in the background, what went on, what happened, and, some new insights, some new audience, some extra conversions, if you want to share a success story, start with you, Sarthak.
Yeah, new success. Well, that's quite some pressure on me at the moment. But very honestly, I'll tell you the kind of business I'm in. A lot of times, people ask me, "What is it that you do?" And I'm always glad they ask this question, and I never have an answer. And the reason I don't have an answer is always by choice. I feel the more we try and bucket ourselves into an identity of, oh, I'm a CA, or I'm an investment banker, or I'm the CMO of such and such, it somehow just pushes you to comply with this persona that you build of yourself in your mind. And I definitely feel it comes from a certain sense of privilege where I don't optimize my business for revenue anymore. I don't have investors to satisfy. I optimize for my own joy. And if I feel like today has been a joyful experience where I've learned something, I got my workout, I had a great time with my wife, I'm very happy, right? So I think every day is a win, and I'm just optimizing for joy.
If you can just share from content point of view, where did you experience a great win? I mean, from the marketing activity.
So I think I'll talk about one story really, which is, initially when we started, we had 3 buckets of taxation, personal finance, and corporate finance and investment banking. And whenever we advise people to start on their content journey, especially with a personal brand, I always suggest have 3 buckets. One bucket is for momentum, which just helps you put out content every day and you don't have to put too much effort. For me, that was taxation. I'd worked in it for over a decade and it came really easy for me. The second bucket is for top of the funnel reach, which for us was personal finance, because we could reach more people, and once they start following, they'll also be able to see niche content where we have expertise and where we have a business, which was the third bucket, which was investment banking and corporate finance, which is relevant to very few people, but top of the funnel helps kind of bring into it. Over a period of time, as our customer persona was mostly ultra high net worth individuals and figuring out their needs, I figured over a period of time, there were a number of people who were third generation listed entities, just saying, I've got the money, I have the access, I have a team, I need to start a new business, tell me what should I do. And remember, this is the first call. I have no context on where lies this person's skill or interest. And for a very long time, I kept judging people in these conversations, saying, how can over a 1 hour period, can I help you find your life's purpose? And that is where an insight came to us, that there are so many people in India with all the money, all the intent, all the willingness to do something, just not knowing what to go after. And we felt that in our investment banking, we're always looking at where are the white spaces to build a business. If we could just democratize that information for the masses, and bombard them with so much that out of 300 videos that you might see, if one helps you find your purpose because it sticks, our job is done. And I think that's how that entire vertical of new business ideas started, and the content really took off. And then after that, this is just one example. We've experimented enough to figure out where is it that new needs or new trends of consumption would be going, and what are those new verticals we need to build to be ahead of the curve in our content strategy.
Sure. So Suman, do you want to share in B2B anything unique that you have done or anything that you want to bring out as a win?
So, Himanshu, I will give you a different perspective. So any success of a marketing technology can happen in the way I look at it is, there are people, then there is data, and there is a technology platform itself. So these three have to work together in tandem. So, for me, when I look at the profile of my other panelists, actually I am not a technology guy. I am like in a company when you talk about users. The point I'm trying to make here is, you know what, you have a nice technology, but it has to work, right? And how it will work if people are able to adapt it, people know how to use it. And I, from a very large organization, Hindalco, we have huge number of people from different generations. And now, we talk about IQ, we talk about EQ, we have to also talk about something called DQ, digital quotient. I'm like, you have a nice platform, but people don't know how to use it. You can imagine, they make this smartphone for people who are not very smart, but only smart people can use it, right? So that being said, so I myself, in fact, was having a very, very pathetic DQ. In fact, this January, I decided that I want to be like paperless. And I can just tell you, like for me, I was like, I was very happy with papers, like taking printouts, reading in cars, and come back next day and, okay, this is what, so I had a bunch of papers. I decided, okay, I have to be paperless. I had to really struggle. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you have this technology, you want to implement it, the efficacy of that happens when the people have the right digital mindset. So what I did, per se, working with a lot of younger generation, a lot of smart young people, my daughter itself, so I started working with them and started doing reverse mentoring. I learned from them, and that is the reason why I'm very happy to say that almost like 90% paperless, and Himanshu gave me this paper. Okay, okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that in our company, we have a nice concept called digital ambassador. So this digital ambassador, what they are doing is, it's a mix of different generations, more the Gen Zs, okay? And these are the people who are actually trying to inspire, educate people, so that whenever a technology is implemented, the real change will happen. Without that, you have nice technology, but it will not work.
Thanks, Suman. So, we are at the end of the last question. I hope we can have some time for the audience to ask questions. So, I want to close the panel on defining the road ahead. As the lines blur between media, content, data, we all have to look at our team structure. We all have to relook at how we are going to, unlock the power of MarTech. How are you rethinking your team structures? Because I think the audience would be interested to know, what are leaders in MarTech looking at their road ahead in terms of team structures for MarTech.
So for us, where we have seen changes in like the research team, earlier there used to be a lot of people just to extract data, right, and to make reports. But now like we are hiring people who have more decision-making power rather than just making reports, because reports are now being automated because of ML and everything. People who can now analyze the data, because I feel like AI cannot analyze the data or like exactly or like give you the final decision. That's where the human intervention is necessary. So now research team, I feel like, is definitely like affected, and it's good, like not people are reducing, but just the job profiles are changing in the team. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a tough one to answer because it's an evolving ecosystem as we speak. I'll give you an example, right? Like just before I came in here, and I had a discussion with my content team and the performance team, and we were all sitting together. And I realized the performance team can do without the content team, now. And is the social team, can they not do performance? Then what will the brand team do? Because the analytics is flowing through the entire funnel, we have a CDP, everyone can see and do an insighting. So where will the research come from? So the lines are blurring across the sub-functions within marketing itself, right? So I think it is still too early to have a defined watertight ecosystem within marketing, but it also depends on individuals as to who can pick up with their, with a certain set of attitude and mindset to connect the dots with tools available today are the ones who will make it happen.
Sarthak, what does your future marketing team look like?
Yeah, so I think we're definitely hiring much fewer people because we've taken Google Gemini Pro, we're using ChatGPT Deep Research, we are using it on Claude. Luckily, Airtel has unlocked Perplexity Pro for all of their users today for the next 1 year, so everyone has it on their phones. So research has definitely been optimized a lot. I think what we've definitely changed in our hiring process when we're hiring people is there is this framework that I would urge everyone to look up online and read deeply about, which is called elites versus experts. So, and how elites and experts behave are very, very differently. Experts have their entire identity driven by the expertise of their knowledge, and they will fight tooth and nail to prove what they know is right and go really deep, right? But I think with a lot of that knowledge now coming onto AI's, paid models, and even if something is not absolutely accurately true today, I don't see a reason why it can't be closer to the truth in the next two years. Which is why I think the real time right now is for experts, is right now for elites who actually have a larger breadth of knowledge. And how we try and look for that is we try and look for the agility of learning aptitude. Like, do you know what is the difference between Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT and Claude, even if you don't work in research? And if someone today can answer that, I just know that they're kind of on top of the game, they're using these things, they're exposing themselves to it, and they're more elite. They don't need to necessarily have the absolute right answer, but they need to be exposed enough to be able to structure something which is unique, which will create an edge or a moat in business. Because I feel, like I said today, there are two edges or moats. One is proprietary data for efficiency, and the second is taste or breadth of knowledge to be able to put it together. And that's our idea while hiring people.
Fantastic. Ragini, do you want to conclude on your, how does...
Sure. FMCG is a complex machinery, right? There are multiple functional silos is the way FMCG typically works. So there is a supply chain, then there's a sales team, then there's a marketing team. And different people will do their job, and ultimately things will come together. We're trying to break those silos because we're realizing that we've been built for efficiency. As an industry, FMCG is built for efficiency. Now we're going to look at how do we transform from efficiency to impact. And everybody is now working towards one goal, which is the business goal driven by consumer centricity. What I mean is from the moment of letting the consumer discover your product, whether it is on shelf or online, to getting the consumer to try your product, which is through a lot of marketing work that you do, to getting the consumer to repeat your product, where again distribution plays a big role. Everybody has a role to play ultimately with the consumer or the user. So how do we make sure that people understand how tech is going to enable them, but more importantly keep consumer at the center of this whole piece? So we've reorganized ourselves, and everybody is focused on the business and the category versus their respective functional silos. Of course, we're still in the journey, like everybody said, and this is coming with a lot of skill set that we are driving within the organization. Whether we're talking digital marketing, content agility, going to the extent of performance marketing, while everybody may not understand every platform dynamics from what does an Amazon and a Flipkart or to the quick commerce look like, everybody has a basic understanding of who is the consumer who's trying to shop here. And once you have that understanding, then whether you are in supply chain or in sales or in marketing, you're trying to solve for that consumer versus trying to solve for your function, right? One of the simplest issues that typical FMCGs are dealing with is the way to supply to e-commerce and a quick commerce platform, especially quick commerce now with the multiple dark store, the minutes of delivery, but with the limited assortment that they carry, you need a very different supply chain agility. And if you go by your supply chain metrics of saying, you know, days of hand, inventory, etc., you are never going to think consumer first. So we've broken those silos and we're saying, okay, you've got to think for an e-commerce, quick commerce very differently, and therefore that's a business that you're going to handle. And therefore everybody from every part of the functions is in that business team rather than function first.
Great.
That's a big change.
So, Suman, for B2B, how are you looking at future of?
So I would like to give an example on how we are working on trying to break the silos, Ragini. So, you know what happens when sometimes the real purpose of technology is to help the company to grow. But many times what happens, such a flashy word technology, the vision becomes we have to use technology as the purpose, rather than using technology for growing. And that is the reason why what happens that you have silos. So the company wants to be digital. Now, so we have this new product development. We are working in different technology platform, be it for semiconductor or batteries. So it's very critical. NPD platform is very critical. Now we have sales guys, we have business development team, we have the technical experts team, then we have the innovation and the R&D. What was happening earlier, we realized that everybody independently is trying to use technology. No, it was not helping. So what we did is that when you mentioned about build and make, so this is one of the proprietary thing what we are doing in the specialty and alumina business. We created a common platform. We said purpose is to grow. Purpose is to make the project successful. Let's work on a common platform, and that is the reason why we integrated people in that platform so that, and then we created that technology, and that is the way we could.
Thanks, Suman. So I hope we covered a broad context, right from starting with the MarTech philosophy to the road ahead. There's room for one question from the audience, if anyone wants to ask a question.